Bodycam shows the arrest of a black pastor, Pastor Brown.
Oh hell yeah!
If you guys watch our officers react, you'll get the joke. While watering his neighbor's flowers. It's about to be a bad look.
What you doing here, man? They saying that is that your vehicle? It's not. The neighbors.
314. I'll be on 13.
Okay. You live here?
No, I don't live here.
Okay. They saying that this vehicle is not supposed to be here and you're not supposed to be here.
Who's saying that?
They called about it. I don't know who called.
I'm supposed to be here. I'm Pastor Jennings. I live across the street.
You're Pastor Jennings?
Yes, I'm looking out for their house while they gone.
Okay.
Watering their flowers.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Now, do you have like ID and all?
Oh no, man. I'm not gonna give you no ID.
Why not?
I ain't did nothing wrong.
Well, you look. Listen. I'm not saying do nothing wrong.
Dog, listen,
There's a suspicious person.
Look, I used to be a...
This is already settled. It's a caller of a suspicious person. He interacted with that suspicious person. That person said he's watching. All he has to do is verify from the homeowner, not him, the homeowner. Because the homeowner is the only person that can have any level of authority to tell you whether or not he's not breaking in, he's not drinking or stealing their water, he's watering their flower, like he's preventing. He's.
Okay, so now if he was there drinking out of the water hose, he's technically taking their water.
You could articulate theft in that instance, right? You could sit there and say, you're paying for the water, this is theft, unless the owner, and if the owner doesn't say it, like if I can't get a hold of the owner to verify that this person's supposed to be drinking my water out of my garden hose, right? Then I have probable cause to believe that a crime has occurred. As of right now, there's just somebody putting water on, like he's not even taking it from the property. He's redistributing the water on a person's property. This would be the equivalent of taking somebody's newspaper from their curb and putting it on their porch. Like, do I think that his attitude about not giving his ID is a little sus? Sure, but that's not illegal. There's nothing illegal about that because currently, right now, I don't see a crime to be investigated. He could have flipped them off, to be all I know.
Okay, so where's the line for when you can or when it is you have to identify? Because I know there's
you have to be detained, right? Mm-hmm. So right now this is just an investigative. This is an officer initiated. He's treating this as a consent stop, basically, or it's not you don't have a detention. This guy took off running, right? What's the crime? Him being suspicious? That's not a crime. Until I can have a misdemeanor in my presence. So now if the neighbor called and said he was trying to get into the house, that's a felony. That's burglary, right? So if he's trying to get in the house, this guy matched the description, he's at the offense location, so on and so forth, I have a detention now. Now you have to identify and so on and so forth. But as of right now, an offense wasn't articulated. They simply said, hey, there's a suspicious person. This car's not supposed to be there. This guy's watering the lawn. Like, it's not even, because this is technically public access. There's not a gate. So you couldn't even articulate criminal trespass. Because, again, Amazon can approach here. Amazon can park the trucks here. Anybody can do this. This is technically a public easement. That makes any sense. You have no reasonable expectation for privacy here. I don't know. I have issues.
Okay. Look, man, don't do this to me. There's a suspicious person in the yard, and if you're not one to identify yourself...
I don't have to identify myself. It's not a stop and identify state. That guy know me. He came to my store that got broke in. I live right over there across the street. Who called y'all?
That's what we got to figure out. But first,
you live here?
He don't live here. I'm not saying nothing about...
You have no right to approach me if I ain't did nothing suspicious or nothing wrong. Told him I'm a pastor. I pastor until I don't want to hear you.
Sir.
You want to lock me up? Lock me up.
Nobody wants to lock you up.
I'm not showing y'all anything. I'm going to continue to water these flowers. I don't care who called y'all.
Again, his attitude is not helping. However, he is not wrong. He hasn't committed a crime. And so currently right now, they're not doing anything but talking to the guy. But I understand his frustration, but I wouldn't advise to treat it this way. And that's just for anything in life. Somebody's giving you crappy customer service, don't act like this. Somebody's doing whatever, don't act like this. Because just in general, you don't know who you're dealing with. And the last thing you want is to be, I don't care if you get the lawsuit and it's cool because whatever, it's unlawful detainment, it's a violation of your civil, cool. But you still have to go through the experience. And this could all be avoided by people just not being assholes. That's my 2 cents.
Lock me up and see what happens. I want you to.
Hey, man, just come here and talk to us. What? Look, man, let me see your phone. Let me see your phone, dude. Just calm down, okay?
No.
Stop.
I like this.
Okay. We're just trying to talk
How
to
do you feel about the
and see-
handcuffing?
Yeah.
So, like, if the guys, I would just let it go until I have an offense. And I come from a different age of policing, right? Where I am very sure that I have something if I have something, which I believe in intrinsically, right? He's not breaking in. I would personally, the way I would treat this, if he's being this argumentative, I would tell him to leave. I said, I'm acting on behalf of whoever's here. Since you do not live here, I can call this criminal trespass and get him to leave, basically. And unless the party member, now I can sit there and say, well, I'm assuming that this person's not supposed to be here. I could maybe go down the criminal trespass route and tell him, hey, you have to leave or I'm going to try to enforce criminal trespass. It's reasonable for me to believe that a person who verbally confirmed with me that they do not live here is now on someone's property. And I get the public access aspect of it, but that's really the only way you can handle this. And I'm going to be honest, I'm bluffing this guy probably to try to get him to leave. If he legit told me to fuck right off, like I'm not leaving anywhere, I'm going to finish watering these lawns, I'm going to call a supervisor, I'm going to kick this all up the chain. But I do not believe in handcuffing this guy simply because he hasn't been assaultive. He hasn't tried to evade. And technically, if he ran, cool, he's not coming back. Now he runs into the road, and I have pedestrian in a roadway, and I can do detention because I have a misdemeanor in my presence. There's a lot of different ways you can handle this. There's just no articulation currently happening. And I'm assuming, based on the way that this investigation's going, that this report probably didn't have a ton of articulation, which is a big no-no.
All right, go ahead and do what you got to do, Doc. Do what you got to do. Go on and lock me up.
Look, just have a
It's
seat.
already
not
a
locked
lawsuit.
up, you're
It's
just-
already a lawsuit,
Yes,
Doc.
sir. Yes, sir.
It's already
Okay.
a lawsuit.
Just have a seat, okay?
Okay? Already a lawsuit.
Do you know that gentleman back?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Does he have
He
permission?
lives right there.
Okay, does he have permission here to be watering flowers?
He may because they are friends.
Okay.
He doesn't have to identify. It's fine. You felt the need to detain him, which I wouldn't have done. And again, talking to the neighbors first might make sense.
Identification, because he's a suspicious person. He said that's not his vehicle, it's their vehicle.
We
Okay.
have a call. Like,
Yeah.
we're here
Okay.
because we're called here. I don't know who called, but somebody did.
Yeah, he lives right there. And
The other bullshit thing, if it's an anonymous call, I ain't investigating shit. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not using force on an anonymous 911. Nah, bro. Sounds like an ambush.
Who that vehicle belongs to?
Yeah, that's
Who
all I
lives
know.
here?
His name is Roy.
That's who lives here?
That's Roy. I call him Roy and call his wife Connie, and I've been dealing with him for 7 years that I've been
Yeah.
living here.
they are friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you called not because of the car, but because you thought you saw someone besides him.
Right. I didn't know it was him.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
I got to
about
keep their
that.
flowers watered. I got to keep their flowers watered while they're gone. You okay?
Listen to me, man. Listen to me.
We are
Anytime the police come out and they
She'll
say,
bring it, Sally.
we want to identify you, you have to identify yourself because there's a reasonable suspicion, there's a reasonable man, there's a
That has to
vehicle.
commit a crime.
There's a reasonable suspicion that you're here. There's not a crime.
Yeah.
If you would have said, yeah, here's my name, here's everything, we were like,
I told
okay.
him my name. I
You
don't
didn't
have to
tell
give
me
him-
your name.
I decided he asked me who I was. I
They
said,
have to do a use of force on cuff and release where I come from. I would have to get him fully identified for the point of documenting the fact that I did a use of force by cuff and releasing him. He has not made this any easier. However, I wouldn't have had him handcuffed in the first place. I'm probably not detaining him for this kind of stuff. If I really had an issue with it, I'd tell him to leave. Or at the very least, I'm doing an incident report where I'm going to see if I can get him identified. If I can't, it is what it is, dude. You got to know when you have an offense, when you don't have an offense. That's my only issue with this. That being said, this pastor's attitude contributed to this environment. This did not happen in a vacuum. This is my only. There's two sides to this coin. I do understand the officer's concern with trying to make sure, because let's say they leave, right, and this guy breaks into their house and takes other shit, they're getting held accountable for that. It has happened plenty of times, you know, in situations like that. And then everyone's upset that the police didn't do anything. You have stuck the police in that situation to do it. I don't know. At the very minimum, you could have always called ahead and said, hey, my neighbor's going to be doing this kind of stuff. Notify your neighbors if some random person's going to be doing that. And then if you think they're suspicious or whatever, why don't you go up there and go check yourself? If you give enough of a shit. I would also consult other people. I'm not taking somebody's random 911. If they really thought somebody was breaking in, they can identify themselves because they're my only witness to this person doing it. I have a real big issue. If anything, I wish if this was my state, right, and I got to pass the laws, if use of force came out of a 911 call, not allowed to be anonymous. Like you basically, we're now pinging that phone, tracking your number, and we're going to charge you with with abuse of 911. And then the civil liability can fall on you as a 911 caller, not on the officers that are stuck with the short stick that they have. Because I think this is a bullshit situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have issues with it. Wasn't there Supreme Court case on acting on anonymous tips? I'm pretty sure there's probably like 10 Supreme Court cases on acting on anonymous tips. The anonymous tip can get me there, right? I could probably get there, and if I can articulate an offense happening in front of my presence, then I can detain all I want. I'm saying from a liability standpoint, and this is the way that modern policing works, is from a liability standpoint, I'm not going to get into any kind of detention if I don't feel like I can use force because I don't have an offense happen. Couldn't cops just run plates? They should have run the plates.
So they did. You fast forwarded over that. It was like a 2-second portion, but they did tell him they ran the plates and they said it belonged to Roy, and he's like, Roy's the homeowner, and they check with the lady and she's like, yeah, Roy's the homeowner, and so it was like, that's what he goes like, it was Roy and Connie, and I've been dealing with them for 7 years, blah blah blah.
That would prove who owns the car, not who the owner is. Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like it's just a people need to mind their own damn business 9 times out of 10 in these situations. And then that being said, I feel for the officers and the fact that they feel they probably have to do something. The problem is like, based on the way his voice sounded, he sounded like an older officer. If you've been doing this for more than 5 months, you should know whether or not you have detention or not. You shouldn't come out of the academy knowing that, but knowing how shitty academies are, like, let's be honest, like, they probably don't. But like, you should know. But like, is there a crime afoot? It's not a crime afoot. Well, then what the fuck am I doing? No. And again, I personally adopted that mindset because I was on the liability side of that. I got to be a post George Floyd cop, and liability, the thought process around liability completely changed, because there was officers that weren't necking anybody that are sitting in prison right now because of the liability of that situation.